Is this Mike from around the world?
Yes, it is, Pastor Paul. How you doing today?
I'm doing great, Mike. I was just waiting for you to come in, and I see you are here. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Doing good.
Well, praise God. You sound good. Everything's going all right?
Yeah, well, everything's going to be what it is. But I tell you, I'm almost ready to put everything on the table.
All right, put it on the table, Mike. Pull all the cards out, the ones up the sleeve and everywhere else. Okay, pull them on. So in other words, you're saying things are happening to the point that we got to start revealing more.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. I also did get a chance to listen to the debate last night. Of course, I backed off and listened to that debate, you know, from an outsider's point of view.
Right.
And you'd be surprised at some of the things that were said. And so I did watch that. I'm sure you'll want to discuss that maybe later on.
Yeah.
There's something specific Hillary said that maybe we can mention later, but
go ahead.
Yeah, I did get a chance to watch.
Go ahead. I've already given the listeners a 20-minute overview, and before we get into the asteroids and geomagnetic storms and what's happening out here, what happened in Australia yesterday, and what's happening everywhere, and before we even talk about some of the wars and stuff, take about 5 minutes or so. Give us your observation of what was said in that debate last night.
Well, most people watch the debate from a position of how well Donald Trump did or how well Hillary did. I did not watch it for that. I'm familiar with Hillary, and I'm familiar with Donald, and I would go so far as to say that both put their points across. However, they did kind of rub each other the wrong way. Now, the media the public was involved.
Mike, can I interrupt you for just a second? Yeah. I've got your microphone up as loud as it will go. Can you go any louder? Let's see if you can.
All right, let's try it. Is that good to go?
That's better, yes.
That's the loudest. I get it.
Okay. All right, go right ahead.
Okay, we were, see, the volume is a little low. Okay, as I watched the debates, while most people were watching from a viewpoint of their candidate, they wanted to win. I was listening to what they were saying because I wanted to know what the public desired to hear. And so I was listening to what they were presenting to the public by way of rhetoric and facts and whopper lies. But, because there were some big lies during that debate.
Yeah.
And the fact checkers. But that wasn't the point of me listening to the debate. Number one, when any politician or anybody who's about to become president, they're given a list of what the public wants to hear. They're given a list of what's popular. Normally, they stick to the topics of what is popular. And that's important for people to know. That's what the advisors are for. As they began to talk, they began to actually go against one another in policies, trying to take the forefront of people's opinion. Now, here's what they did. Hillary said one thing that I guarantee you nobody paid attention to. All right? Donald Trump questioned her performance 30 years in the government.
Yep.
Right? Now, most people heard that, and they got locked into the dynamics of what she was saying, but they missed what she said. She was talking, Donald Trump spoke about the Iran deal being a bad job. Hillary Clinton said that she actually had her hand to play in the Iran deal and kind of stopped them from producing nuclear weapons. Here's what she said. She said when she was Secretary of State, here's what she said. She said Iran was literally weeks away from producing a nuclear weapon. And I would advise everybody to go back and listen to this. Now listen, when she was Secretary of State, they were weeks away. Here's what she said immediately after. She said, so a year later, she was responsible for actually being the author of imposing those sanctions upon Iran, which stopped them from producing it. Pastor Paul, that makes no sense. She said that under pressure, and she should not have. So when she was Secretary of State, she conceded they were weeks away from producing a nuclear weapon. But for an entire year after that time, they did nothing. Which tells you what? They already have a nuclear weapon.
They already have it. They already have it. Yep.
All right? They already have a nuclear weapon. Now, because they have a nuclear weapon, right, they quickly got off the subject of Iran back into the politics. And what I'm saying is that embedded within politics, sometimes through irritation of the candidates, a truth can come forward. A truth that people need to know. But very few people caught that because they were interested in the dynamics of their favorite candidate. Right?
That's right.
Very few people caught that. There were some more things that popped out. I won't discuss those yet, but there were some more things that popped out. I mean, they were just, it's like they were tweetbirds, just telling everything, right? So that implies we're in a dangerous position.
Right.
And people have to know that, look at the two candidates we have. We have a total outsider who is, yes, he's rich, right? He is rich.
Yeah.
But the rich is effectively split. Whether you know it or not, most of the rich have left America. Most of them have left America on purpose. And you have the other folks that are rich, they have homes where the other ones have left too. They really have left America. They have all their assets and everything else sitting somewhere else. All of them do. Now, Hillary desires to, she's very calm. She was calm on purpose to keep society calm. And you can't trust poll numbers.
Right.
With both of them, especially with Donald Trump, given his performance, Donald has to remember that they also misrepresented the poll numbers. And right now, what is he doing debating as a president? They said he would never get this far. So he can't give any credence to poll numbers. Neither can Hillary. And she was effectively baiting him on purpose, and Donald Trump was taking the bait.
Yeah,
He's got to remember that his heart is with the country. Now, a lot of people talk about, well, he's prejudiced and this, that, and the other. You know what? I'm going to give you a fact on something. Everybody's born predisposed to a like or dislike. Donald Trump, given his atmosphere, how he was raised how he was raised. People do grow. Right? They do grow. Right. They get over things. They begin to realize things. That has nothing to do with what either candidate is doing, and they shouldn't do that in the first place. Right? As far as changing themselves, they need to go with what's in their heart. The problem is, last night conveyed what was in the hearts of both candidates. Donald Trump became frustrated because his heart is truly with the country. Now, Hillary does have a heart for children, but she has no heart for adults. She really doesn't. And so it's instead of folks getting caught up in the dynamics of what the candidates, what they like and dislike, they need to look at the person. Now, all Christians have the ability to look directly into the heart of both candidates. And if they go to vote, they should use their convictions based upon the spirit of an individual, based upon their intention, not what they say.
Right.
Okay? But having said that, that's what the candidates. But there were some very important things that were discussed last night. Explanations too, because a lot of people say that Donald Trump was hammered hard about his business practices, right? And then he asked Hillary Clinton about her emails, and they quickly got off the subject. And it had Donald Trump been calm, and they said when Hillary said, "Why won't you produce your taxes?" He should have said, "Well, there where your emails are." You know,
yeah, when you find them,
something like that, and moved on.
Yeah,
right. He should have moved on.
Yeah.
But he bit the bait because he's trying to demonstrate that he really does love this country.
Yeah.
He really is worthy to be president, right?
Yeah.
And that through that frustration, that shows passion.
Yeah.
Hillary Clinton already knows how it works. All right, she knows how it works. And I'm not for or against either one, but the truth is told with the intent of the individuals.
Right.
But either way, this country is in trouble. This country is in big trouble. If Donald Trump wins, there's going to be a policy stalemate in the White House. It will be a policy stalemate.
Are you saying,
tooth and nail.
But wait, you're saying it's a policy stalemate because the Congress won't help him change policy?
All the rich Democratic individuals and billionaires are going to fight him tooth and nail.
Okay. So you're saying...
And even some of the Republicans.
All right.
It's not going to work out too well.
So in other words, even though, and this is, if you was to look at this from a pure political standpoint, even though that the Republicans would be controlling the House and the Senate and the White House, which is a supermajority, Trump will still not get anything done because the establishment that's in Washington, that's sitting in both sides of the aisle, and some of the super rich that don't want him to move forward, everybody, he's got the media against him anyway. So, you're saying he's just going to run into a lot of brick walls.
He will. He will. And if that's him, and if Hillary becomes president, we're going to have a policy stalemate. We'll have a policy stalemate because every rich Republican, every Republican of power is going to begin to operate against the establishment yet again. So you're going to have the establishment against the establishment is what's happening. It doesn't matter which one wins. Either way, that's going to happen. Benjamin Netanyahu has to prepare for the worst.
Yeah.
I know that he would like to see Donald Trump win because of him supporting Israel, and the establishment does not support Israel. In fact, but the most important thing that was said last night was about Iran, the empowerment. It is not ISIS. The most important thing is not ISIS. In fact, when Doug Hagman and Joe Hagman, a long time ago, they began to talk about Benghazi, I was hoping and rubbing my hands saying, yes, now do the tie-in with Iran. I wanted them to find that information. Iran is one of the deadliest forces in the Middle East right now.
Yes, they are.
It is not ISIS. It is Iran. And so that's still going to come to the forefront. Donald Trump probably has information like that, but he can't say a thing.
Can't say.
Or see, it works like this in politics. Everybody has dirty little secrets. Everybody does. Donald Trump has dirty secrets. Everybody has dirty secrets. And what they do is a measure of response based upon the individual. So if Donald Trump lets out one of Hillary's dirty secrets, a dirty secret will be let out on Donald Trump. That's how it works, and vice versa. And so they only go so far. They're not going to hit back because that's a limitation. But this Iranian thing with their nuclear weapons, Pastor Paul, that's been established for a while now.
Right.
They have nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
But what people don't know is that Iran is strategically doing some things to be in position to use them. If there's a launch by North Korea, say, it's going to be a coordinated launch against the United States of America.
I believe that.
It's going to make October, November a very interesting month because the pressures are so incredibly high among people that it does not matter who the candidate is. And I'd like to mention this just so everybody knows. When you abolish an older system and you're trying to do good, it is painful. Slavery, when they were beginning to do away with slavery, many people died brutally on both sides with slavery. People die during transition. Pastor Paul, we're in a transition.
Yeah.
We're in a transition. And there will be deaths involved. And that's just the way it is. Yeah. Right? There are going to be deaths involved. And we all prepare ourselves for that. But there will be a transition. But I tell you, it was some things last night. And
Mike, the Iranian thing is a very good point. I agree with you. And that's what Netanyahu has been saying for 4 or 5 years now, that Iran is the most dangerous situation because they have a large army. They do have nukes now. They are crafty. And they have publicly said they want to annihilate Israel. They want to wipe them off the pages of history. And ISIS can't do that. ISIS can kill a lot of Christians because they're being allowed to. They can devastate the entire region there of the ancient Babylon area from Iraq to Syria. But when we get right down to who can really bring the hammer, and with Iran partnering with Russia, it gives them a lot of leverage now in the Middle East. And we have to look at Obama's foreign policy, that what has caused this chaos in the Middle East and has created this absolute insanity, this madness. And there's but can't put it all on him. It even started before him. So there's a lot going on right now, Mike. And so I'm glad you picked up on some of those key things. And also, Trump did take the bait, as you said. He got frustrated because he loves America. He knows she's fake. He is a $3 bill. He couldn't stand her laughing. And he was being double teamed on, Mike. Lester Holt never used the word Benghazi. Never brought up Clinton Foundation, corruption, commingling, cash paid for play, email servers, smashing them, 13 times committing a felony, literally perjury before a House investigative committee there. Look, all of those things were, are you serious? So I still think that there's a long way to go. There's a couple more debates to go, and maybe some of that will finally get asked to her. I don't know. We'll see. But, Mike, let's move into another level. Let's move into what happens. What's going on? Okay, I know you said on this program 2 weeks ago that about the 5 waves of energy, wave number 2 is approaching. You said, well, here's how you'll be able to gauge the strength of this wave is if auroras, spectacular auroras, start taking place. Mike, I can tell you that on Sunday, there was an absolute incredible aurora. There's a man in northern Alaska who took a picture standing on his porch. He sent it to me last night. I did a YouTube video on it and put the picture up there for you to look at. It's unbelievable. And we also found out Sunday that there's a geomagnetic storm going on, according to spaceweather.com. They're saying that this geomagnetic storm took place on Sunday, September 25th. The Earth crossed through a fold in the heliospheric current sheet, and a vast wavy structure of interplanetary space separating regions of opposite magnetic poles. The crossing has disturbed our planet's magnetic field, and a minor G1 class geomagnetic storm is now underway. So we've got this heliospheric sheet that we are entered into. We have our magnetic field in this geomagnetic storm is weakening. I asked BP Earthwatch on Sunday. He said CERN was running red hot. And then I'm saying, and Mike around the world saying, watch out for the auroras. And guess what, Mike? Not only do we have an aurora, a huge, unbelievable aurora, but we've got an asteroid or meteor or something hit off the coast of Australia last night. That's insane. They thought it was an earthquake. It lit up the world down there. They heard the boom. It shook houses. They lost power. And NASA never told us it was coming. They never told us about the February 13th. They never told us about this one. But they can tell us about some that are like 10 years away, and they can tell us exactly it's going to go by. Come on, Mike. Come on. So help me understand, first of all, the auroras. Deal with the auroras and this wave of energy.
Okay, again, auroras are when there are collisions in the atmosphere between, you have actual charged particles making collisions, all right? Just so everybody understands auroras, those are very fast collisions of charged particles. Our magnetic shielding is responsible, right, for blocking any charged particles from coming into the atmosphere. But we have a weak magnetosphere right now. It's very weak. Two things you have to remember. Anything they print on the internet, right, is highly, let's just say, is tuned towards educational purposes, not actual information.
Are you talking about NASA? Are you talking about NASA? Okay.
Yeah, I'm talking about NASA. I'm talking about anything associated with that. They have to be in line with the educational system. And so what they do is they print the information that they actually publish is not for defense reasons. It is for education, that students may go by and look at these things. They don't want to scare students to death, but they want the students to have a foundation on a few things, right?
Right.
So to actually take the information from NASA, and because they don't print something saying that they, like people say, well, I don't know if they saw it or not, or they claim they couldn't see it. Yeah, they can see it. They can see, it's amazing how advanced our tracking systems are. They can see everything. They're doing things that the average individual would be far beyond their imagination. And so, they can see it. They track debris all the time. There's a bunch of junk they have to track in the atmosphere. Each one is assigned a computer number, and believe me, they're tracking everything. They would know if a gnat took a dump, right, at 600 or 330 miles above the Earth, and they can see where it's falling, because they do what's called, they have a lot of lasers pointed out into the atmosphere now, and so they can track everything. The entire grid of space is covered from the viewpoint of the Earth.
Okay.
But what they do is they don't print this information, and then the average person says, they give these folks a pass saying, well, they didn't see it. But I tried to tell everybody before, if there's ever going to be an impact, NASA's not going to tell anybody anything. They're just not going to do it.
So you're saying
they're not going to do
it. So the information that we do get from NASA, it can be accurate, it can be truthful, but it's harmless and it's educationally. But the reason they didn't tell us about the asteroid that hit there in February of 2013 in Russia. And the reason they didn't tell us about what was going to hit last night or yesterday is because if they were to announce, guys, in 3 days there's an asteroid going to hit the Earth. We don't know exactly where, but it's going to hit, and then it hits, and it's in Siberia. If they was to just tell us stuff like that, people would be in total panic mode. So you're saying we're never going to get a heads up from them. We need to understand that.
No, you're not. And so thus you have this near Earth asteroid program by JPL. The reason that was instituted that was for the public to see they're doing something about it. But ever since that time, Pastor Paul, we've been having things intrude in our atmosphere for a very long time. And from time to time, they will designate these objects that pass by us, which satisfies the public. Here's the truth. The truth is this. While that, let's call that debris that impacted in the vicinity of Australia, while that happened, did you not know there were 2,100 other objects of smaller types that penetrate the atmosphere? And so all these things are being tracked. But, no, they're not going to talk about this on mainstream media, because if you don't talk about something, it gets no traction.
Right. So remember when you told us about 3 years ago that there will be a time, they can hide this for a while, but there's a time coming when you can no longer hide it. That the general public is going to see too much. There's going to be too many deep impacts, too many meteors are being spotted, too many buildings shaken, too many injuries, even people being killed, that folks are going to say, hey, you guys can see this stuff. You're not telling energy.
Yes, that day is approaching. In fact, it's forming and it's increasing in momentum every single day. And we're going to have a ionosphere nightmare here shortly.
What?
As the particles continue to come into the atmosphere and they're charged particles breaching our magnetosphere, they're going to build up in the ionosphere, thermosphere, magnetosphere, right below that. When that happens, the temperature is going to increase up to about 1,300 degrees Fahrenheit. When this happens, it's going to cause enormous stress on any satellites up in that area. When that happens, satellites are going to start falling from the sky. So you're going to see degradation of orbits like nobody ever saw before, and it's going to seem like meteor storms, but it's going to be debris. Half of these satellites do have small nuclear reactors. The truth is we don't have to launch a nuclear missile to start a nuclear holocaust or to have a nuclear winter. All we have to do is not do anything. And these satellites that are in space, some of the nuclear reactors in there are going to hit the atmosphere, burn up, and then spread all around the world. And then we're going to have a nuclear nightmare. That within itself will poison all the waters. There's so much radioactive material in space right now running these satellites that if anything, has a buildup, causes a buildup of particles in the ionosphere, guess what, or in the thermosphere, you're going to have a bunch of satellites degrading in orbit coming back to Earth. Pastor Paul, when that happens, you're looking at a 2-month period. When the buildup happens, you're looking at a 2-month period in which all the waters of Earth could be poisoned by all those small reactors. Now, remember, these things have there are a lot of chemicals up there, and this is why they have to destroy them before they ever come into Earth's atmosphere. They have to destroy them.
So let me ask you.
The atmosphere could poison.
Okay, so you're saying the satellites, and there's lots of them now floating around the Earth. When they start to fall back into the Earth, they've been up there in space long enough now that they are totally radioactive, and so if you let them come down, they're like a radioactive reactor coming down. China's space station is falling. BP's been tracking it. It's fallen 5 miles in the last week. It's coming down. This thing has got to be a nuclear radiation nightmare. I mean, are they going to blow it away? They're going to shoot it out of the air and let it little pieces? I mean, is this what you're saying?
Well, let me clarify 2 things. When you launch a satellite, some of the satellites that are launched, they already have nuclear reactors in them when they go into space.
Okay.
Most of them have highly radioactive chemicals in them when they go into space, which is the reason they have to incinerate them before they ever come to Earth. There are many they have incinerated already. Air Force has this task Okay? And NATO has a special division. They have this task. And Russia will work with the U.S. on that because they know what will happen if they don't. So what I'm telling you is the entire world works together so that none of these things breach the atmosphere, right?
Yes.
That's what they do. Now, they're already loaded with chemicals and everything else. And so guess what, Pastor Paul? As this energy begins to build up in the thermosphere and the ionosphere, these satellites are going to heat up. That's going to cause failures. They're going to degrade in orbit. They're going to burn their fuel up too much. They're coming back to Earth. And it's the way, and these underground bases, I know that people think they're for a deep impact. Well, guess what? They're made for these satellites. You don't launch a satellite unless you have a contingency, a what-if scenario when they come back down. They will come back down.
All right. So it's going to happen, and there's nothing you can do about that. So we're looking at a situation. So let's talk now about the aurora. You said that if we start seeing these, that means that this wave of energy is affecting our force field, basically. I mean, I'm hearing, Mike, we're leading back to planet X again. I mean, I don't know what else to say. Something's shaking the heavens up there. Something's breaking all this stuff loose. And I don't know if there's a planet X or not. I mean, I really don't. Something's doing it. I don't know if God just takes a deep breath and blows, or does he send one of this binary system in play? But there are people that are saying there's sightings going on. Now, I'm going to say something to you, Mike, and people are going to say I'm nuts. But the other night, Heidi and I were outside. There was a crescent moon, and it was orange-red. It was not fully red, but it was in between. It was orange-red. And in 20 minutes, it went down like a sunset. Okay? It was one of the weirdest things we've ever seen in our life. We just said, since when does the moon do a sunset? So I'm thinking, is the Earth tilted some, or is there something different going on? And does that got anything to do with what's happening with everything else? I'm just wondering, is the Earth tilted some? Are we in a slow pole shift?
The Earth has moved a little bit. Those who operated sundials have noticed they're out of position. Do you know sundials are off?
Yep.
The shadows are off on a
yes.
sundial.
By 30 minutes.
So that indicates a tilt in the Earth is going to continue to tilt, but we have a bigger problem. It's called the magnetosphere. There's the real scenario that all of us are going to entertain at some point, and they're preparing very fast. All the important people in the United States, Pastor Paul, you're going to notice missing. They're going to do an exchange of Congress and everything else. You're going to notice a lot of new people in Congress, but all the old wise ones will be gone. They're going to be effectively sent somewhere else. This will be coordinated all over the earth, and they're going to be sent somewhere else.
Are you talking underground cities? Are we talking now these underground cities? Are they going to start? Are they already sending some down there?
I'll say once you enter into one of those places, you never come topside. Nobody goes down there and pops back up again. You don't do that. That becomes like a permanent duty station. Right. And when you notice half the wise leadership leaving in many countries, well, then you know something's afoot, and they will do it. So, which is what they naturally do, because if a war breaks out or anything else, they're going to take shelter. They will instruct you, but they're fully protected, right? For what they call COG, or continuity of government, and other things. Well, the corporate people are doing it first because they're moving out of any danger zones, right?
Yeah.
And they've been doing this for a very long time, methodically. So what we're facing here is a maneuvering of many people that are about to protect themselves and leave everybody else hanging, right?
Yeah.
And so, yes, they're expecting something. Now, there will come a point in time when people will entertain seeing something in the heavens that will be a permanent fixture in the heavens and become brighter and brighter and brighter without any explanation.
What?
I'm not surprised. They may blame it on Beetle guys or something like that, or say something with supernova. That's not going to be it. They tried to prep the world, and we actually in 2005 we had a discussion saying that nobody's going to buy the supernova lie, right? Because they were going to say, well, guys, if you see a real bright object in the sky, that means something went supernova in the sky. Well, we knew people wouldn't buy that, and I was privy to sit in a conversation back during that time, and that was a failed attempt to cover for something else. The fact is, what they call the destroyer is real. It's very real, and it's twofold, and it's like nothing anybody else has ever seen.
Wow!
Do we live in a binary system? I guess everybody's going to find out if we live in a binary system.
All right, now time out, Mike. Okay, and this is great. You're laying some of these cards on the table, and we really appreciate it, because you're saying we are going to see something out there. People are going to see something out there. It's not a supernova. It is. I mean, if it's not Planet X, it must be Planet X. Let me just say this. You know, this past weekend, I baptized 9 people. One was John Bro Jr. John Bro, 8 people came out of Louisiana, of his family, to be baptized. Now, you've talked to John Bro before, and some people even thought that you were John Bro, and you guys had to get through that about 2 years ago and had to have to show and prove you're not. Which was ridiculous. But anyway, John Bro is a nuclear engineer, and he retired nuclear engineer for submarines, and then worked for Chevron as an executive. He's a highly brilliant man, just as yourself. He was asked to do scientifically and mathematically the calculations on Planet X, of which I asked him Sunday, sitting there, and I was having an omelet, and I said, John, I just need to ask you. You did the numbers. Gil Brazard did his work. You were part of the 13 different people asked to do the numbers. Is there such a thing as Planet X, or is it mathematically, if we haven't seen it yet, is it mathematically possible to do what he says and what the theory is? He said, absolutely, 100%. It is mathematically. I can prove to you that there is a binary system, and that what that other object is would probably be what you want to call it, Planet X, whatever you want to call it. Gil Brazard is right. It's there. Maybe he's off by a few months or whatever. But look at the effects. All you got to do is watch the effects of asteroids, meteorites, different things. All you got to do is watch the effects that are happening in the heavens, which the Bible says, Mike, that the fig tree is going to cast its untimely figs. You know, the heavens are going to be shaken like a fig tree, shaking loose figs before they're ready to fall off. And you got to really shake a fig tree to get the fig to come off early. So I'm just letting you know that you're revealing today the actual situation here, that we're going to see this thing. Do you think people have already seen this bright light you're talking about, this being out there? Has it been seen? Is it being seen now? Because I got people calling me everywhere. I got Planet X guys on YouTube. They got channels. I got people calling everywhere. They got people who's got taking pictures. Folks are freaking out, Mike. They're saying they've got a glimpse of it. Have they? Is it visible? Mike from around the world. Hello, Mike. Mike from around the world. And the NSA, he's still on the line, but that's dead silence. Mike from around the world, are you just being, have they silenced you? Okay. Apparently they have. He's gone. Well, you heard him. I think he did everything he could to give us every hint possible that we're going to see. And maybe he couldn't answer the last question, has it been seen? But he certainly put it out there for us. And my best guess will be that that's what's causing the shakings in the heavens. All I can say this, from a small country preacher sitting here in the cornfields of Indiana, that Jesus said the heavens would shake. Jesus said that there would be people would have heart attacks. And maybe that's why the NSA won't let Mike answer the question. There's 2,454 people live on YouTube right now. I've actually watched major television announcements. They don't get this many people watching live. And this is the middle of the day. You want to know why there's 2,454 people live there and not count everywhere else? It's because they can't get this kind of reporting and truth. Mike, are you back? Are you back? Are you
Am
back?
I back?
Oh, yes. Good. Mike, I threw the question out there, and then we never got an answer on.
I never got your question.
Okay, the question's this. You've laid your cards on the table for us wonderfully. And you said people are going to see this light. They're going to see this something way out there in the distance. There's no other way around this. It's going to be. I'm going to ask you a question because I got guys calling me. I got people emailing me. I got people. There's YouTube channels, Planet X channels. The people are freaking out. They got pictures. Mike, has this thing been seen? This light, this distant binary planet or whatever is affecting the heavens to shake. Has it already been seen? Are these people who are saying this, is anybody out there who's saying this actually got a glimpse of this thing?
Okay, I'll say this. Our solar system is pretty big, right?
Right.
Our solar system. Imagine that, how big our solar system is, all the way out to Pluto, correct?
Yes.
So this other system is just as big, right?
Okay.
So what they have been seeing are some of the objects that orbit that sun, and it's a very strange way it operates. I'm going to go ahead and let's put it out to everybody. Here it goes. You ready for this?
I'm ready.
You ready for this? Okay, so when you have two stars, right? When you have two stars, one is classified first as when the sun stops its fusion of binding hydrogen atoms. All right, it begins to burn oxygen and carbon, causing it to be a white dwarf. Well, there's another stage after that too, and it eventually goes very cold. Okay. Now here's what happens as it comes back into its twin system, right? That cold star begins to attract helium and hydrogen from the companion star. So it effectively refuels, right? And it makes the companion star much heavier. It refuels it, almost like it's refueling it for its trip back into space. Our sun is reacting to something else coming into it. A planet is not big enough to cause the sun to react, okay?
Okay.
But another star is. Now that star could be far away and cause our sun to react. So what I'm saying is that people are absolutely seeing some things of a different system coming into this system, which, and that is the perturber. That is the explanation for the perturber. So anybody who's ever run the numbers, they have come up with the only explanation they come up with mathematically that fits in that formula of gravity and electromagnetism, right? And it would give evidence for certain objects or belt objects and rotational perturbations of things, is that another twin system is coming into this system. And wouldn't you know it, some of the ancient documents that were hidden long from mankind that they won't reveal today because they're, buried deep into Lord knows where, they always foretell of another sun. Some of the things that you read, you got to be, when you read anything of old times, you don't know whether they're talking about the other sun or our sun. So you don't know that, right?
Okay.
And so a lot of these documents talk in a perspective of another sun. And so we're facing this thing yet again. It's coming back through yet again. And we live in the time of the greatest transition and one of the most painful transitions, right, that we'll have. See, most people are so comfortable with the natural order of things where nothing happens. We have long forgotten what anything like that. Nobody today alive knows what that looks like. But all the simulations point to it. I have done a recent simulation. I've been working 2 years on a simulation. I mean a full simulation. And this simulation is it's not good news, but it's very accurate, Pastor Paul. It's accurate down to 3 days accurate, according to everything that's been happening. And so even that simulation indicates that a twin system is coming and it matches with other systems. The reason why I had to do my own simulations is I can't take information from any governmental source, right?
Right.
To actually give to anybody. I can't do that. So the only way I could do that is from scratch. So I took 2 years and did that from scratch with no information from anything of the government, but only from observational viewpoints, vantage points. I already know the real story. But you need something where people can actually take the simulation and see all the elements and come up with the same figures accurately, not guessing, not hoping, not wishing for or against, but accurately. And this has been done. And
All right.
You,
so what
is in deep trouble.
So what you're saying, and you might not have heard me when I was explaining having breakfast, having a lunch. I was eating an omelet, but having lunch with John Breaux Jr. And he is a nuclear submarine engineer and a brilliant. He also a Chevron oil executive that worked in engineering, a brilliant mind of a high IQ, who was asked to do the model, to figure out mathematically, much like you. It sounds like he must have done a model, a simulation, mathematically, similar to what you've done. And he said, Paul, absolutely, 100%, there is an entity, something that, he wouldn't say what, but that is causing the effects that we're having on our universe, on our planet, on our solar system, is from another huge entity. So I'm hearing you say the exact same thing. You've done the work for 2 years, and it's absolutely 100% it is going to happen. It is already in play. And soon people will be spotting this. It's not a star, it's not a nova, it's not a supernova. It is an actual entity or being. I'm talking about it's not a planet, it's much larger. It's like another star is what you're saying. It's like another star, and it's affecting, it's drawing on the sun, it's messing with us, it's shaking the heavens, and it's affecting us. And we're living in this transition into the new millennium. We're actually going into a new time. This is it. This is the biblical revelation taking place.
Yeah, it is. And Patrick, just to clarify now, this other system has an asteroid belt too. Now, What happens when one asteroid belt comes into ours? And it's not happening where both are level. One system will come up from the south.
Okay.
One system is coming up from the south of us. Because it's weird the way the universe runs. When I finish the simulation, I'm going to give you a couple of animations, or videos of the simulation, just a part of it, so people can see how the solar system is moving around the plane. Pastor, now, here's what happens as this twin star gets closer. You're going to see some of the sun's material pointing in one direction. Like our sun will grow a tail. And guess what's going to happen to it? It's going to become incredibly bright, and it'll go down to a red hue. It'll turn red. And then as this other star begins to absorb helium hydrogen from our sun will go black and be twice as hot. The sun will go black and be twice as hot.
That's what the Bible says in Joel 2.
It's been observed. This has already been observed in most of the binary systems out there, and one sun always goes black with the companion star is in proximity. You will see the companion stars as a tiny dot in the sky.
Well, let me ask you a question. Why would one sun go dark? Is it because the other one is brighter?
No, because the other sun will be taking the helium and hydrogen from the sun with the helium and hydrogen. So it's going to refuel itself.
Okay.
It will draw those materials to itself. Now, when it does this, that pull is so strong, even photons can't reach the Earth.
I got it.
So all the photons are also redirected. Photons are light.
It's sucking all the air out of the room. In other words, it's so powerful, it's sucking all the air out of the room. In other words, it's taking all the elements that it takes to fuel that sun, and it's sucking it all from the other one. The other one's just going to go dark for a little while because it's taking it.
That's right. Now, I'm not, a lot of people, they talk about the destroyer Nibiru and all that. I normally don't use the name Nibiru because that came from Zechariah Ascension. Okay? That's why.
Okay.
And so Zechariah Ascension was predisposed not to believe in certain things.
Right. So you don't like to use that. So you don't want to use that term, all right? No. We don't use it. So how about Planet X? You want to use that one?
Yeah. I would. That's why I always talk about a twin system or a planet X, an unknown planet. Yes, but I would say an unknown system, not just a planet, but a system, and the destroyer being part of that system. The destroyer is one of the planets inside that system.
Okay.
The system is huge.
It's
Our system
gigantic.
is a baby system compared to that one.
That's why it can shake our system. It's why why the sun will turn black as sackcloth of hair
Right.
in Joel 2. It's why the moon will turn to blood in Joel 2. It's why there will be smoke and pillars of fire, Joel 2. It's why there will be earthquakes and volcanic eruptions and tsunamis, typhoons, chaos, radiation, wormwood. Is you're saying this system is so much larger than our system that it's going to shake things up, it's going to suck the sun dry, it's going to mess up the whole thing, and it's the destroyer. And Mike, Jesus Christ is the only hope, right? I mean, we're back to this. Are we back to Jesus again?
Yeah, you know what, Pastor Paul, for a long time, people have looked at the physical implications of what is happening. Now, I'm going to set up a special broadcast concerning the mark of the beast.
Okay.
And here's what I mean by that. You know in the Bible where it says he calls us all, he causes all. He causes all.
Yeah.
Free and bond to receive a mark in the right hand and forehead. He causes them to do this. Well, how is he going to cause them to do this? You wouldn't believe the wicked way this is going to happen. And so there are some things that are happening right now. I'm going to do a special class on that so that people can be properly positioned with Christ. Because the one thing they don't want to do, they can't go backward now. They can't do it. They can't be sucked in to go backward now. Microwaves are a big part of this beast system. And you wouldn't believe how it's being done, but it's being done. So then with Christ, the reason why anybody who does not receive the mark of the beast must be killed is because they're not susceptible to something taking place. And you know what? It ties into the UK, it ties into NATO, and it ties into the the entire Islamic world.
Okay. Wow. Mike, we look forward, whenever you're ready to bring whenever you're ready to bring that forward, we'd love to invite you to do that. Right now, Mike, I want to say we have the largest online YouTube alone, just YouTube, 2,540 people. We've never had that many people at one time live. I know that some information you brought forth today is what you just said you were going to do. You're going to put the cards on the table. And I know you're not doing anything illegal. You're not breaking any classification. You're just you're putting it on the table where somebody, even a layman like me, can understand it. And at this point, and I'm running out of time here, and so at this point, I hate to let you go even, but I want to get you back again here in a few days, because what happened in Australia and what's going to keep happening, as you've said, and the auroras and everything else, these are the symptoms, the signs of what's about to happen, and these are the last days. And I appreciate you coming on today. I really do.
Well, thank you, Pastor Paul. Everybody keep going forward in Christ. He is truly a sanctuary.
Amen.
He's everything we've been looking for in life. Yeah, he truly is. God bless you, Pastor Paul.
Thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it so much, Mike. God bless. Mike around the world.